Hi, hello, I'm Frank. Today I am going to talk about analysis of a text. I am going to start talking about the difference between coherence and cohesion. Coherence is a semantic property of a discourse formed through the interpretation of each individual sentences. The reader will discern in the text. It allows the reader to make sense of a text. On the other hand, we have cohesion. Cohesion is a grammatical and lexical relationship between different elements of a text. We are talking about semantic relationship between sentences. I am going to start with reference. Reference is a replacement of words and expression with proforms, pronouns, or promodifiers. It's part of cohesive. We use reference when we replace some word or expression with another word. It could be proforms like personal pronouns, demonstratives, and comparatives. Another important characteristic with reference is endophora, when we refer something inside the text, or exophora when we refer something outside the text. Endophora can be divided into parts: anaphora when the reference had been mentioned before, or cataphora when the reference will be mentioned after. Okay, I am going to start with reference. This is a tale that is called Masterclass. This is a Miguel de Cervantes tale. So I am going to analyze step by step. As you see here, we have a reference in blue color. This is blue. I am talking about exophoric. The words in brown, we have anaphoric reference and cataphoric reference. All of these four are about reference. So let's start reading. Two gentlemen, students, were strolling along the banks of the Thomas River when they came upon a lad about 11, dressed like a peasant, asleep under a tree. So, if you see here in the first two lines, there is this word in blue is a reference because this subject pronoun is related to two gentlemen. Okay, let's see the third line. They ordered a servant to awaken him. Here we have another reference. The two gentlemen, okay? And then asking him where he was from. If you see, this is another reference. This is a subject pronoun, but this subject pronoun is related to the lad, I mean the boy. Okay? Now, let's see exophoric. Exophoric means when we say something related to outside the text. For example, here we have a dialogue. Listen. Be that as it may, replied the boy, nobody shall know it. As you see here, this is exophoric because nobody is related to someone who is outside the text, nor inside. That is an example of exophoric. Now, let's see anaphoric reference. In anaphoric, I am going to read the third line. They order a servant to awaken him. Him, this is an object pronoun. Him is related to lad, I mean the boy. So we use anaphoric when we mention something or someone that was mentioned before. let's continue. Let's see now cataphoric reference. Okay, let's see this line. It says, in a few days they had outfitted him in black, and in a few weeks Thomas gave proof of exceptional ability. Now, if you see this phrase, in a few days and in a few weeks, the point here is that this idea is in the future. I mean, it's going to pass forward in the text. Substitution. It's another part of cohesive. We use substitution when we replace one item by another. It's a grammatical level. We have four kinds of substitution. The first one is nominal. The second is verbal. The third kind is clausal. And finally, we have ellipsis. This means dilation of words, expression, or phrases. Ellipsis is made up by nominal, verbal, and clausal. Okay, in this point, I talk about substitution. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start reading again the first paragraph. It says, two gentlemen students were strolling along the banks of the Thomas River when they came up upon a lad about 11, dressed like a peasant, asleep under a tree. They ordered a servant to awaken him, and then asked him where he was from and what he was doing sleeping there in that lonely spot. The boy answered that he had forgotten the name of the place he came from. Now, pay attention to this word, the boy. This is a substitution because instead of saying the lad or another word similar like this, I am using a phrase, and the boy is referring to the lad, the boy. Let's continue. Here we have a dialogue between the two gentlemen and the boy. If that is the case, said one of the gentlemen, and you can see here one because it's referring to one of the two gentlemen. And or you can see here in this line, be that as it may, replied the boy. Again, I am repeating the same word like this. I am talking about the boy. Okay? Now, we have another kind of substitution that is called ellipsis. Ellipsis. Well, pay attention to this section of the text. They asked him if he knew how to read. He answered that he did, and write too. This is ellipsis because I am not saying the complete phrase. In this case, we are understanding that it's a complete phrase, but instead of saying all of them, just I say the verb, and we understand that we are talking about the boy. And write too. Again, instead of repeating the abilities of the boy, I just say too. Conjunctions. They are words which are used to connect other words, phrases, or clauses. Conjunctions are divided in four sections: additive, adversatives, causal, and temporal. Conjunctions can be coordinated and subordinated. Coordinated connect words, subordinated connect clauses. Well, our next step is about conjunctions. As I said before, conjunctions, we use them for connect word, phrases, or something like that. For example, uh, they are they are in green. The words that are conjunctions are in green. So we're gonna start. Two gentlemen students were strolling along the banks of the Thomas River when they came upon a lad about 11, dressed like a peasant, asleep under a tree. So, as you see here, we have two sentences. This is the first one. Two gentlemen students were strolling. The second one, they came upon a lad about 11. So, here we have a conjunction because this word is joining this phrase, this idea, to this another idea. They are joining two sentences. Lexical. It's the last part of cohesive. When we focus on the selection of vocabulary, we are using lexical. It can be divided in repetition, superordinate, synonym, general noun, and near synonym. Okay, our last step is about lexical cohesion. Pay attention to this section. The boy said his name was Thomas Rodaja, from which his master inferred by reason of the name and his attire that he was the son of some poor farmer. So, look at this, the son. This phrase in red is lexical because it's like a synonym about the boy, the son. It's the same person, the same character. Now, let's see another example. And as good service wins the heart of the master, Thomas Rodaja was soon not the servant, but the companion of his masters. We are talking about the same John, the character. We are talking about Thomas Rodaja. Here, instead of saying Thomas Rodaja or he, I am saying the servant. Here is the same person, but the text says the companion. So as you see here, it's like synonyms about the same word, the same meaning.